There's also this. Two men have been indicted in the suspected terror plot outside Gracie Mansion. 18-year-old Amir Balat and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi are facing multiple charges, including using a weapon of mass destruction.
After waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, "I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar." Now, "die in your rage" is a commonly known ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers. He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths.
President of the Mauro Institute, Ryan Mauro, joins me now. Ryan, what is your read on this situation?
Well, I think that what you're seeing is another episode of what I've called the Jihad Olympics, where you have groups like ISIS that get very frustrated at not getting any oxygen or attention because everything has been focused on Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iranian regime especially, which are their rivals. And so there is going to be the pressure on ISIS supporters to carry out an attack. Now, why this specific attack? I think it's because, and I base this off of ISIS's own words in the past, is that there's a particular image of America that they want to broadcast to the entire world and to Americans as well. Think about what was going on here. You had an anti-Muslim rally, and the leader of it is a white nationalist. And then you had other more confrontational, almost Antifa-type counter-protesters. And then you had ISIS supporters show up throwing bombs. What is the image that then gets broadcast to the world? That the American right are white nationalists, that the American left are Antifa, and the Muslims are jihadists like ISIS. That's the exact image that they want the world to think of American society, and they want Americans to think our society is like that as well.
Well, yesterday, NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch also said that one of these suspects told police after being arrested that he doesn't belong to a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the prophet. We take action, he apparently said, and if I didn't do it, someone else would. What sort of threat level are we under right now, not just in New York City, but across the country?
Well, the threat is elevated because of obvious reasons, what's going on around the world. And the Iranian regime does have a very large extremist infrastructure, I'm sorry to say, in the United States. But considering everything that's going on, I'm pleasantly surprised that the call to jihad has not been met by more homegrown extremists in the U.S. or foreign extremists coming here. Considering how big the threat is, these attacks have been relatively low. So I think it's worth keeping that in mind, that we need to be concerned about this. But from the point of view of the jihadists around the world, I think they're disappointed.
Well, Mayor Mamdani released the following statement in response to the indictment, saying Amir Balat and Ibrahim Kayumi have been charged with committing a heinous act of terrorism and proclaiming their allegiance to ISIS. They should be held fully accountable for their actions, and we will continue to keep New Yorkers safe. We will not tolerate terrorism or violence in our city. There are some, including the former mayor, Ryan, who is accusing the current mayor of taking too long to make a statement like this. Could a statement or reaction from a mayor or someone in a position of power actually tamp down a terror threat? And if so, what should that response be?
There's plenty of room to criticize the mayor of New York City, but I'm not just going to jump on him at every opportunity. So I don't think that anything he says is going to affect whether an ISIS guy who has decided that the way to cleanse sin from his life and gain entry into paradise is to kill people is going to be affected by what the mayor says. I think that there's greater things going on here. And I mentioned that the rationale of these ISIS terrorists so that people understand how evil and selfish it is, because they try to paint this as some type of righteous reaction to American foreign policy. No, if you actually look at what they say and what they believe that they have committed sin, that they are embarrassed about that sin. They're worried they won't make it into heaven. And the way that they make it into heaven is by killing people and dying in jihad. And that's the only guaranteed way that they can make their way in. It's an incredibly evil, incredibly selfish thing to believe in and to do.
And that's why the NYPD has deployed additional counterterrorism units across New York City. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us on this very important topic. We appreciate your time, as always.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.